Okay, let's start today with something, well, genuinely pretty compelling, a contradiction, really.
Right.
When we talk about the Kardashian family business scene, it's usually, these massive, super fast, sometimes flash in the pan kind of ventures.
Exactly. Big headlines, big launches.
But the sister, often seen as the quiet one, the most reserved, maybe least fussed about the spotlight, Kourtney Kardashian.
Yeah.
She's actually built this $65 million empire quietly and totally on her own terms.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, isn't it? Her whole strategy just runs counter to the usual influencer playbook.
Completely.
Yeah. While everyone else was chasing like immediate visibility, gaming the algorithms for quick wins, Kourtney had played this really disciplined long game. She deliberately used her fame, sure, but just as a launch pad. It wasn't the end goal.
Right.
So what we're really unpacking today is this pretty profound shift moving from, let's say, transactional income, which can be super volatile.
Yeah, feast or famine sometimes.
Oh, totally. Moving from that to building real, durable, compounding ownership. And that's our mission here, to really getting to the nuts and bolts of how she managed that, how she shifted her public image, tapped into these big cultural wellness trends, and built this long game philosophy around, well, less noise. So if you listening are maybe thinking about building something that lasts, something that's actually aligned with what you value, Kourtney's path offers a kind of blueprint. It's about sovereignty in this crazy modern economy. Okay, so to really get the strategy, we kind of have to rewind. Back to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, 2007.
Yeah, the beginning. The sources are pretty clear on the dynamics back then. Kim was the star, all about media dominance. Khloe was the fun, energetic entertainer. And Kourtney, the eldest, she was more reserved, sometimes seemed a bit detached, almost like floating above the chaos.
Yeah, she often seemed like she was just observing. Exactly. But she wasn't checked out. She was watching, she was taking notes. She seemed to grasp this really fundamental economic truth. Fame gets you an audience, yeah, but fame itself is transient. Ownership, actual equity, that's what grows silently. And that difference, that understanding, is exactly why we're talking about her now. Her estimated net worth, around $65 million in 2025. Okay, maybe it's not the biggest number in the family,
Right.
but the key distinction the sources make is that her wealth is perhaps the most sustainable. She wasn't chasing virality. She was building vertical integration. High margin recurring revenue. That's a different game entirely.
So let's talk mechanics. A celebrity endorses fast fashion or some one-off product. It's good income, sure, but it's transactional.
One and done.
Yeah. Kourtney seemed to just skip that whole playbook. She wasn't chasing income in the same way. She wanted equity, control. But how did that actually materialize? How do we see it in the business structure?
Well, the mechanism is simple but kind of brilliant. She realized her name alone was not the business her values were. That's the core idea.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Instead of just licensing her image out to some existing company, she built the brand from scratch. She controlled the supply chain, the product formulation, the marketing message, the distribution. That's the real pivot to ownership.
And we see that in her two main assets, right?
Exactly. Two key pieces.
First, there's the content engine Poosh, launched 2019.
Yeah, Poosh. And it's crucial to see it not just as a blog or content site. It's really a strategic ecosystem.
And the ecosystem.
Yeah, it reflects her personal philosophy, right? Health, simplicity, mindfulness, balancing family. It acts as the long-form content hub, the trust builder, and honestly, probably a testing ground for ideas and products.
Well, okay.
And then once she'd built that audience, built that trust, she launched Lemme in 2022.
Right. The functional supplement brand focused on internal wellness, gut health, focus, sleep. Which, let's be honest, is a super competitive space. Highly regulated, too.
Oh, it's saturated, absolutely. But this is where the genius of the ecosystem comes in. Supplements, or CPG consumer packaged goods, they offer way higher profit margins than your average celebrity endorsement.
Okay.
But even more importantly, they offer recurring revenue. People subscribe, they rebuy. Poosh creates the habit, the desire to follow Kourtney's lifestyle.
Right. It sells the philosophy.
Exactly. And Lemme provides the actual product to live that lifestyle. The sources really emphasize that the products felt real, lived in. Why? Because the Poosh content had already spent 3 years basically vetting the whole philosophy behind them.
So while the tabloids are maybe calling her the calm one or whatever, she was actually mastering supply chains, product formulation, marketing funnels, customer retention strategies. The stuff that builds a real legacy business, not just a celebrity income stream.
Precisely. She was moving from celebrity to CEO.
For years, the media narrative was that Kourtney was the least ambitious sister.
Right, that label stuck for a while.
But they were measuring ambition by, volume of projects or noise level. The data, her actions, they suggest she just redefined ambition. For her, it seems like ambition meant alignment, not just attention. And nothing shows that pivot better than, ironically, a failure. A strategic failure she learned from. The closure of the DSH boutique in 2018. Ah, yes, DSH, the fashion store with her sisters. Yeah. And that venture was tied up in all the things she seemed to move away from later. Flashiness, physical retail with high overhead, chasing fast fashion trends, things that are hard to scale too.
Exactly. Hard to scale beyond big cities, totally reliant on constant media buzz to drive foot traffic.
So that closure, it wasn't just a business ending, it was like a lesson learned, the foundation for her next move.
Totally. It showed her she didn't want the volatility of chasing trends, didn't want the headaches and limitations of physical retail.
So that need for a reset, it led straight to Poosh in 2019. Seems like it. Poosh was digital first, low overhead, rooted in something pretty evergreen. Wellness, motherhood, daily routines, right? Things people are always interested in.
And Poosh scaled almost infinitely with very little extra inventory cost, right? It's content. Plus, it offered this seemingly genuine peek into her actual routines. That's the ultimate pre-sell. She wasn't trying to sell you a dress that might be out of style next season. She was selling a better version of the life you already lived. And then came the really bold move, expanding into CPG with Lemme in 2022, consumer packaged goods. That's the moment her persona, her lifestyle brand, officially became a scalable platform. What was the formula there? The strategy seems crystal clear in hindsight. Start with story, scale with products. Simple, but effective.
Okay.
By anchoring both Poosh and Lemme in her real-life values, the clean living, the balance thing, she managed to turn potentially skeptical followers into really loyal buyers.
That's a key difference, followers versus buyers.
Huge difference. A follower clicks like based on momentary hype. A buyer makes a purchase, maybe even subscribes, based on habit and trust. That's the foundation of a viable, focused platform, not just a high-volume, maybe low-margin attention business.
Okay, let's pause on viability, though, because a common critique of celebrity brands is that they sometimes lack operational seriousness.
Sure, the back-end stuff.
Yeah. The outline says she prioritized viability over virality. What did that actually look like? What infrastructure did she build?
It means she focused on the less glamorous but essential parts of the business. While maybe others were pouring everything into marketing splash, Kourtney invested in logistical control.
Like what specifically?
Things like securing solid supply chain partners, making sure her supplements had GMP certification, good manufacturing practices, which is crucial for credibility and safety. Building a really robust digital fulfillment system, especially important if you're handling subscriptions.
Right. You can't mess that up.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding, right? Getting those retail partnerships like the big launch with Target in 2024. You don't land a deal like that just because you're famous.
No. Target wants reliability.
Exactly. They want proof of logistics, solid inventory control, proven demand. That's often a nightmare for celebrity-fronted brands. She basically turned her reality TV persona into a competent CEO running a company with a real working physical infrastructure behind the glossy website.
Let's talk about the pacing here, because it stands out. While Kim was scaling Skims and Kylie was scaling Kylie Cosmetics at lightning speed.
Unprecedented speed, yeah.
Kourtney seemed to consciously pull back, retreat even, and slow things right down. It's unusual, especially in a market that usually rewards speed and instant gratification.
It really is, but it's like the difference between being a sprinter and a marathon runner, isn't it?
Okay.
She used that slower pace deliberately to make sure her public image perfectly matched her private actions, her actual life. The clean eating, the grounding stuff, digital detoxes, this slow parenting vibe. It wasn't just manufactured for an Instagram post. It became the brand identity for Poosh and later for Lemme.
But I have to push back a little there. I mean, we live in an age of filters, curated feeds. How genuinely authentic can it be? It's still a multi-million-dollar brand marketing a lifestyle. Where's the line between careful curation and, actual honesty here?
That's a really fair question.
Yeah.
And maybe authenticity isn't quite the right word. Maybe it's more about consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah. She seemed to let her actual lifestyle choices shape the products, rather than inventing a lifestyle just to sell products. Think about the supplement market. Consumer trust is incredibly low. People are wary, and rightly so.
It's super wary.
So Kourtney addressed that head on. By pre-selling the philosophy for years through Poosh, offering what the source calls consistent, low-pressure value. Long articles, tips, routines. It wasn't a hard sell. It was building familiarity and trust over time. She built this incredibly strong business moat based purely on trust before she even asked people to buy Lemme.
That ties back to the product differentiation, right? The names for the Lemme gummies, Lemme Chill, Lemme Sleep, Lemme Focus, they're so simple, literal.
It's a brilliant positioning, actually. Well, a lot of other luxury wellness brands are selling this expensive, aspirational aesthetic.
Yeah, the perfect minimalist bathroom shelf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kourtney's selling attainability. The name signal, hey, these are just simple tools for everyday things you need help with. Sleep, focus, chill. It's practical. And that resonates, I think, really deeply with audiences today who are kind of exhausted by hyper-aspirational content. They crave practical solutions, maybe a bit more honesty over just polished perfection.
So that slow, deliberate approach, it builds loyalty. It builds ritual around the products. It's not relying on fleeting virality or just being visible all the time.
Precisely. And that durability, that stability,
Yeah.
that's her superpower in this constantly churning digital economy. It's quiet, but it's incredibly strong. We absolutely have to talk about what might be the biggest decision in this whole story. Her choice to step back pretty significantly from Keeping Up with the Kardashians in 2020. After more than a decade on that show, yeah, that was huge, a major turning point.
And it wasn't just like taking a break. It felt like a fundamental declaration of her life philosophy.
It really did. It was a strategic withdrawal, you could say, choosing peace over constant performance. The sources frame it as prioritizing presence over pressure, motherhood over media, and maybe meaning over just relentless momentum.
Right. The message seemed pretty clear. My well-being, my family time, it's not up for negotiation, and therefore my businesses have to support that, not undermine it. That core value then became this non-negotiable filter for everything else. And that translates directly into how she runs the businesses, right? This decision rule, if it doesn't feel aligned, it doesn't happen. That's not just like fluffy wellness jargon. That's a high-level corporate filter.
Oh, absolutely. It's a strategic filter. It ensures brand integrity. It stops the brand getting diluted by chasing every hot trend that pops up.
Yeah, prevents mission creep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If she suddenly launched some random product just to grab headlines or stay in the spotlight, it would instantly damage all those years of trust she built so carefully with Poosh.
So by walking away from the constant noise of the show, she actually gained power.
It's the paradox of power, yeah. She stopped letting media cycles and audience expectations dictate her agenda. And by doing that, she filtered her audience. She attracted people who valued her sovereign choice, who trusted her precisely because she wasn't just chasing fame. It created a smaller, maybe, but much more dedicated and higher value audience.
It's fascinating, too, that the brand names themselves feel so personal. Push her daughter Penelope's nickname. It'll be just a casual, everyday phrase.
Right. It intentionally undercuts that whole polished, artificial vibe you often get in the celebrity world. It signals realness, or at least an attempt at it, over just gloss.
And we have to loop back again to that earlier setback, the DSH closure in 2018.
Yeah, it's key context.
Because it wasn't a failure that derailed her. It was more like a compass correction.
Exactly. She learned from it. She understood that fast fashion was crowded, margins were thin, physical retail was risky. So her big pivot wasn't random. She moved squarely into the wellness category.
Which is massive.
It's huge. Projected to hit $7 trillion globally by 2025. She positioned herself right where the cultural tide was already going: clean living, mental wellness, supplementation. And importantly, she did it with a digital-first, lower-risk model that was deeply anchored in that perceived authenticity. Smart move.
So that really sums up this whole silent empire effect. It's a business built methodically, focused on values and controlled growth, not just massive volume. It's a brand that seems designed to grow without burning out its founder because it's rooted in customer trust, not just chasing volatile trends.
She essentially built a business model that prioritizes long-term durability over short-term fame. And in today's world, that's arguably the ultimate form of strategic intelligence. #HagOutro.
So when we boil it all down, what's the big takeaway from Kourtney's journey for you, the listener?
Her success really shows the exponential value in choosing intentionality over just raw speed, and in monetizing alignment, building something that reflects who you are instead of just monetizing attention, which can be exhausting and fleeting. Yeah, she built a life first, it seems. Then she created businesses designed specifically to fit into that life. That prioritizes personal sovereignty, control over your time and energy, not just piling up money.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That walking away from the noise, from the pressure to constantly perform, that isn't giving up. Sometimes it's actually growing up.
Well said. Her success isn't loud. It's not flashy or particularly trendy in a way, but it feels stable. It feels deeply human. And that kind of transformation, that kind of foundation makes her brand's endurance feel, well, pretty permanent. And that enduring lesson sits right underneath the $65 million net worth figure. So the provocative thought we want to leave you with today is this. What are you building right now that's so authentic, so true to your own core values that it will still hold meaning, still matter, even when nobody's watching? That's the real measure, isn't it?
That's the measure of a truly silent, truly enduring empire.